Friday, everybody. I'm Gina Gibson-Hurst with the ECE department, and today we are here to talk about non-traditional community-based instruction. So community-based instruction, or CBI, is an instructional practice that many teachers of students with moderate to severe disabilities use in order to promote generalization of academic and functional skills. We know that a skill is not truly learned until students can generalize it. So what good is it if a student is practicing all of these great skills such as cooking, cleaning, doing laundry, if they practice them at school, but then do not generalize them into the home setting? We know that skills have to be meaningful for students and functional, and in order for that to happen, they have to be able to generalize across settings. So this unusual time is an excellent opportunity for us to really partner with families to practice that generalization so that students are working on skills that they've been targeting in the classroom and in the community. They're also working on those skills now at home. So the 4 domains that we're going to talk about today for CBI is self-management and home living, work-based learning, rec leisure, and community functioning. And then I forgot to mention, as we go through these slides, my resource teachers are in the chat and available to answer questions or take questions that we can get back with you on. So let's take a look at some ideas that my amazing resource teachers put together for implementing CBI during NTI. It's catchy. And for purposes of time, I'm going to move through some of these slides. You'll have access to them. So I don't want this to be necessarily a CBI training. There's additional information in this presentation that I'm not going to go into detail about. But teachers certainly have access to these slides. And you'll want to make sure that you go back. There's some excellent resources. I'm not going to have time to go into all of the links. So be sure that you go back and check those out. So for rec leisure domain, instruction really focuses on how to support students in accessing extracurricular activities, activities that they could do alone, with friends, family, fitness, and activities that they can do in the community. So some options for rec leisure activities include looking at magazines, playing games, FaceTiming with friends. This is funny. They're called Quarantunes. So if you click on this link, I think right here, they have live concerts that artists have put together. So that would be something, a virtual concert. Sports at home. So make sure that you go back and check these out. There's some great ideas for exercising.
Gina, I think your captions got turned off again somehow.
My what did?
Your captions. I don't see them anymore.
Okay, how about now?
Yep, you're good now. Sorry.
Okay. All right, so for rec leisure activities that students can do alone, we have our adapted newspaper with News to You that all of our moderate and severe disabilities teachers have access to. In fact, actually the company has extended licenses district-wide, so that is an option for all teachers currently in JCPS. They can play games. There's a nice website over here on different musical instruments and skills that those instruments target. And then for our students that like to bake, there's a nice accessible, it's called the Accessible Chef, but there are different recipes in there that students can go to and bake and cook simple meals with their families. So some rec leisure activities that can be done with the family might include game night, puzzles, playing catch outside. And then here are some fitness ideas. So the next domain would be work-based learning. And that's moving students towards their career paths and supporting them with vocational skills that they need. Looking at some options from home for work-based learning. might be, there's a wonderful website that has videos about different careers. And so students can go in and look at different jobs and the prerequisite skills for those jobs and learn about those jobs from home. So there's some examples here: landscaping, baking, and data entry. But the website that students will want to go to is the Career One Stop. So it's an excellent resource for teachers and families. This is a really fun video. Another important skill that our students learn about in school is how to dress appropriately for a job interview. A lot of our students practice mock interviews at schools, and we have them practice dressing for that interview. So they'll come to school dressed to the nines, and we talk about appropriate grooming and hygiene. So this video is a little comical, but it relates. I think students will relate to it. There's a lot of important tips for how to dress to impress. All right, and then some other resources that Stephanie put in here. Stephanie is one of our transition resource teachers. There are jigs and videos on how to practice skills that students might be working on in the classroom or at different job sites in the community that are temporarily closed down. They can also practice those at home now. Just to give you an example of what one of these look like, this is a task analysis for cleaning mirrors and windows. And I'm sure parents will appreciate the extra help at home. So there are several task analyses and videos that students can follow along with. Make sure my captions came back on. There we go. So for rec leisure, here are some examples of things that students can do at home to practice different activities that they can do in their free time. They may read books or magazines, play electronic games, again, FaceTime with friends, sports. I'm sorry, I think I went backwards on accident. Here we go. All right, so self-management and home living. This is really where our students are working on skills to help them to be as independent as possible. That might be hygiene, safety and health, budgeting, meal prep. So we have some great resources in these slides. This is a great resource over here. It's the practicalmoneyskills.com. I'll click on that. This website has a variety of different lessons related to like consumer math. I'll click on an example for student activities. Now, teachers may have to modify these lessons, but they're excellent starting points to give us ideas so that we're not starting from scratch. But these are things that our students are working on, learning the importance of money, how to budget, spending money, which is my favorite, and comparison shopping. So there are several resources, activities for families and teachers on that website. Some other ideas for the general community functioning domain might be that they are practicing crossing streets safely. They might be doing some online grocery shopping, practicing just general community safety. Here's a nice social story that talks about COVID-19 and why our community might look a little different right now. This is a really great activity that Krista came up with. Having students go into Google Maps, they can look for safety signs. They can practice looking up their home address and looking at their home or their family member's home. They can look their school up. And then just a scavenger hunt around the community, looking for these environmental print. Practicing this is, we learned about what this sign means in the classroom, and then taking them out to the community where they're actually using those signs to generalize that skill. Here's a nice grocery shopping lesson that Krista came up with. And then finally, data collection. Some ideas for data collection might be that the teacher sends home a task analysis and has the parent just mark a plus or minus. Did they need prompting, or could they do that step independently within the skill? And they can get their data that way. Parents can submit videos or have the students complete a self-evaluation. And then, of course, also the teacher can access, interact with the student through a digital platform, observe the student performing the skill, and collect data that way as well. And then some additional resources that you'll want to make sure that you go back and check out are on this slide. I'm going to go back out to my original presentation. Okay, make sure that you go back. The resource teachers have been working very hard to update the shared drive that we discussed last week. I'll go ahead, excuse me. I'll open this up. I'm not going to go into all of these folders, but as you can see, we've built on quite a bit from where we were last week. There are a lot of digital lessons in here. And what the team is working on for this next week that I hope to be able to share next Friday are some of those non-digital instructional units. So I'll be partnering with Cindy Simpson in our assistive technology department, and we plan to show how we can enhance learning in the home with other means besides technology or high-tech lessons. So with that, I will hand this over to Nick Iliff, and he's going to talk a little bit about adaptive behavior.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'm going to talk about adaptive behavior, and I think Gina and I presenting together, I think, is perfect because a lot of the resources that she just shared within her drive that her team has created, you're going to be able to use those resources to talk about adaptive behavior. So I'm going to click over to presentation and go to present. Close captions.
I don't think you're sharing your screen right now, Nick.
I'm not sharing it. Okay, let me see. And right-hand corner, present.
If you go back to the Google Hangout window, if you scroll to the top part of your screen at the right, there's 3 dots, and it'll say share screen if you click on it.
Share screen.
Yep.
Got it. Now here I am. Sorry about that.
You're okay.
And like I was saying, I'm glad Gina and I are presenting together because a lot of the resources she shared will be that we can use when I'm talking about the adaptive behaviors. So, okay, so and clip captioning is on.
Oh, you're still we still don't see your slides for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay, I go back to the Hangout and share. Share screen.
Yep, share screen, and then there might be another window that pops up where you have to click on it and then click share again. So it'll say like your entire screen or application window. If you click on your entire screen and then click share.
And I've done that, and it is not sharing. Your screens, choose what you would like to share. Yeah, it says your entire screen and share. Is that correct?
Yes.
And
there we go. Now we see it.
There we go.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, you're okay. Yep. Now you can go over
right.
your presentation and just make sure captions are on when you're presenting.
Present.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for being patient. Again, I'm going to talk about adaptive behavior. And again, a lot of the things that Gina just went over insofar as self-management and home living skills, and all those things are good resources to go back into when we talk about adaptive behavior. So first, I'm going to just talk about what is adaptive behavior. Adaptive behavior refers to the behavior that allows a person, usually in the context of a child, to get along with his or her environment or location with the greatest success and least conflict or struggle with others or the given tasks. So with that being said, we're usually talking about adaptive behaviors in the school environment and how can we get students to do certain tasks like collecting their materials or maybe using the restroom, such things as that. But now we're talking about the home environment. And again, this is a perfect opportunity to see if our students now can generalize that skill set. They were able to do it in the home, the school environment. Can they do it in the home environment? And we're going to talk about why are adaptive behaviors so important. Teaching the child or the student to become an active member of their family life will ultimately widen their access to communication and social opportunities and will increase the likelihood of more successful experiences for them in their home life and other environments. So again, Gina talked about it, the generalization of skills. We want our students to be as independent as possible, to be as successful as possible in each and every environment that they encounter. So here are some examples of adaptive behaviors for our younger learners. They could pick up or put away their toys, sort clothes, make bed, put clothes away, load dishwasher, set the table, clear the table, match socks. I am an educator and also a father of 3 young children. So I am learning that there is always a teachable moment throughout the day. These adaptive behaviors are making their beds, setting the table, but there is always an opportunity to teach given the circumstances that we're in. So some examples for elementary or middle school learners: meal prep with produce, wash produce, sorry for this spelling error, simple cutting, sweeping, vacuuming, collecting garbage, rake leaves, make meals, clean tub or shower. So those are just some exact examples of adaptive behaviors. And now, how do we teach them? And Gina touched upon this in her presentation, but task analysis. What are those task analysis going to look like? Visual schedules, video modeling, prompting, shaping, and also reinforcement. Our day-to-day lives have changed quite a bit, and we need to find new and different ways to reinforce what tasks may seem very mundane. So we're going to have to look at how we're reinforcing our students. All right, so task analysis. Task analysis is the process of breaking a skill into smaller, more manageable steps in order to teach the skill. As the smaller steps are mastered, the learner becomes more and more independent in his or her ability to perform the larger task. So we can task analyze anything. Again, the thing I just came up with is putting clothes away, sorting books, and all those other adaptive tasks that we can do. Just down into smaller tasks and teaching them step by step. Okay, and then identify the type of instruction for the student. This is what's going to be most important. How are we going to teach this student or this child this adaptive skill? What do they need? What kind of do they need visual supports? So visual supports are tools presented visually that supports an individual. Visual supports might include, but are not limited to, pictures, written words, objects within the environment, arrangement of the environment, or visual boundaries, schedules, maps, labels, organizational systems, timelines, and scripts. One thing that I think I have learned in meeting every day with everyone at 11 o'clock is we're getting a lot of good information. And I know Cindy Simpson pointed out visual supports in a certain location. If we go to the kitchen, what is our task analysis when we're putting away our dishes? What's that adaptive behavior? And having those visual supports accessible for that child in that particular environment. Video modeling. I'm not going to get into great detail about this, but I know Laura Ferguson touched on about it yesterday in her training. But video modeling is a mode of teaching that uses the video recording and display equipment to provide a visual model of the targeted behavior or skill. Types of video modeling include basic video modeling, video self-modeling, point of view, and video prompting. Video modeling involves recording someone besides the learner engaging in the target behavior. The video is then reviewed by the learner at the later time. Okay, so we've now videoed all those small steps to teach the student this adaptive skill. Video self-monitoring is used to record the learner displaying the target skill or behavior and is reviewed later. Point of view video modeling is when the target behavior or skill is recorded from the perspective of the learner. Video prompting involves breaking the behavior skill into steps and recording each step, which will incorporate pauses during which the learner may attempt the step before viewing subsequent steps. Video prompting may be done with either the learner or someone else acting as a model. Okay, and I think this is something that Gina touched upon about how can we get data on certain things. Well, we can have the parents possibly videotaping them putting away the dishes or making the bed or doing some of those adaptive tasks that we had already spoken about earlier. Okay, so how are we reaching this student again? Prompting. What kind of instruction does a student need? Procedures include any help given to learners that assist them in using a specific skill. These procedures are often used in conjunction with other evidence-based practices, including reinforcement. Prompts are generally given by an adult or peer before or as a learner attempts to use a skill. A variety of prompting procedures support the learning and the development of the child. I think it's important when teaching students adaptive behaviors and using task analysis to really take time and observe when and where is this child possibly having a difficult time in this task. What kind of prompt do I need to get them? Do I respond by interrupting and give them a gestural prompt, a full physical prompt, possibly just a visual? But it's important that we take the time, especially now when we have all this time, to slow down and really observe and see what our students need and even our children at home to accomplish these tasks. And reinforcement is the relationship between the learner behavior and the consequence that follows the behavior. This relationship is only considered reinforcement if the consequences increases the probability that the behavior will occur in the future. So when we break down these tasks, we may need to reinforce with a good job or a pat on the back after step 2, when it's actually 4 steps into the task analysis. The ultimate goal of reinforcement is to help learners learn new skills and maintain their use over time in a variety of settings with many different individuals. Okay, we want our students to generalize these skills in other environments to be successful. And remember, regardless of the child's level of functioning, it is essential to individualize instruction for a child so they can begin to learn how to take some responsibility in caring for themselves and becoming as independent as possible. So we really want to look at, what does this student need? How do I break down this task, this skill, to have this student become independent and successful? And right here, Gina spoke about this, about unique learning, having access. There's a lot of task analysis in there for adaptive behavior. This one is preparing a snack. And as you can see, it uses the visual things. I think it's symbol sticks that it uses. So we have steps 1 through 10. But that's just an example of what a student can use. They can self-monitor, check it off, but this is a good support. Here's another example of task analysis for adaptive behaviors. All right. Changing paper in the here. And that's really all I have to share about adaptive behaviors. What I do want to emphasize is the resources that have been shared throughout the week. Gina, again, has a great shared drive that she's working on with her resource teachers. I would also like to point out what I thought was another very good presentation with Cindy Simpson with Low Tech or No Tech on Wednesday. At the end, she shared a lot of good resources on there. I just feel as if when we talk about adaptive behaviors, we're going to have to break down these steps with task analysis, prompt, and provide reinforcement. But again, using those resources that have been shared, we can come up with picture schedules and other ideas on how to introduce these tasks to our kiddos. So that is all I have. Any questions? And I know I have a team that's been helping out. Are there any questions in the chat that I need to address?
Hey, Nick, it's Melissa. How are you? You and Gina did a great job this morning.
Thank you.
I do have a question, and that we've been getting quite a bit. So what if parents are not taking that hard data, those plus and minuses? How can we capture or document the data or information that they are actually sharing with us?
I know. I think the possibility of the plus or minus. How are they prompting? Did they do it independently? Possibly a video. I think we're going to have to just communicate with our parents and see how they're doing and what they're seeing in their home environment.
So really kind of what you're saying is if the parents say, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do plus and minus, anything that they communicate to you, you could write down as documentation. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. Thank you.
All right, great. And what about, is there a way to maybe, when we talk about these task analysis and think about different things during the day, of helping parents prioritize if they can only do one or two things?
And prioritizing, that's the part that I feel like this time has given us time to be present. So I would just encourage parents that if you are going to work on an adaptive behavior and you are going to focus on that one, make sure that you have the resources around you, whether it be a picture, whether it be a list that's written down on a piece of paper for that student, but just be intentional when you are really focusing on that skill. There are a lot of opportunities for us throughout the day. And typically, I feel like we're moving so fast. But right now, we could just sit and focus on that one task. So I would just really encourage parents to, if it is 1, 2 times, that's fine. But just be present when you're really observing so you can give them those redirections, reinforce them, and just see where they may be struggling with that given task.
All right, great. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Gina. I hope you guys loved all these resources. Just remember that their slides are connected on the Digital Learning Channel schedule. And you guys have a great Friday, and we will be back all next week from 11 to 11:30. Our session on Monday will be Annie Gooden and Laura Ferguson with Behavior Part 3. And Tuesday, you have Julie Donnellan with SDI and Progress Monitoring Part 3 to look forward to. And then we have sessions the rest of the week. So thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in today and leading this awesome training. You guys have so many valuable resources for our teachers and students and parents. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you.